Hello students, we are going to study the second part of this chapter, The Enemy, from our book Vistas. Till now we have studied that the prisoner of the war, an American soldier, was washed ashore in the front of Sadau's house. Sadao and Hannah brought that American to their house. Now we'll see what happens after that. The bedroom to which Hannah and Sadao has brought the American soldier belonged to Sadao's father and had not been used after his death. The injured man was laid on the thick mat on the floor. The writer describes the room. Everything in the room was Japanese, as Sadao's father disliked foreign things. Hannah went to the cupboard in the wall and took a soft quilt. She resisted putting it on the injured man. The quilt was made of silk, had a flowery print on it, and the lining was made of pure white silk. She was sad and spoke slowly that the man was very dirty. Sadao said that the man had to be washed. Sadao asked Hannah to get hot water so that he could wash the man. Hannah did not want that Sadao should touch the man. She said that they would ask the servant to wash the injured man. She would call Yami to leave attending the children for a few minutes and wash him. Sadao thought for a moment and then agreed with Hannah. He asked her to call Yami while he would call the other servants. Before he could go out, he saw the injured man's face. It was so pale that he stopped, bent forward, and felt his heartbeat to see if he was alive. The heartbeat was very faint, but it was there. Then Sadao placed his hand on the man's heart to feel it. It was also beating. Sadao concluded thus the injured man was alive. Sadao commented that if the man was not operated upon, he would die. He added that even if he was operated upon and saved, he would die at the hands of the Japanese army. So, either way, he would die. Hannah screamed with fear and asked Sadao not to save the man. She feared that if he lived, they would be in danger. Sadao questioned that what would be the implications if the man died. He looked down towards the injured man and wondered that he had a lot of energy which kept him alive through such torture. He countered his thoughts with the fact that the man was very young. He seemed to be 25 years of age, and at that age, people do have a lot of energy. Hannah asked him that did he mean the man could die during the operation. Sadao confirmed her question. Hannah was pondering over the possibility and she was taking time to reply. Sadao left. He said that something had to be done with the injured man, irrespective of the result. The first thing was to wash him. As he walked out of the room, Hannah followed him. She did not want to remain in the room alone with the white skinned man. Since she had left America, she was the first white man she had seen. She had no contact with the Americans whom she had met, as they were her enemies. This injured man was also an enemy and was a threat to them. Hannah turned to the children's room and called out to Yami. As the children heard her voice, she went inside, smiled at them, and played with her 3-month-old son. As she held the baby, who had soft black hair, she motioned with her mouth to Yummy, asking her to come. Yummy replied that the baby was ready for sleep and that she must put it to sleep before accompanying her. Hannah held the baby and went to the bedroom next to the nursery with Yummy. Yummy spread the sleeping quilts on the floor and laid the baby between them. Hannah led the way as they walked fast towards the kitchen. The two servants in the kitchen were scared after hearing their master's word regarding the injured man. The old gardener, who also worked as a servant, was pondering over the news and pulling the hair from his upper lips. The old gardener spoke bluntly to Hannah. He said that Sadao must not treat the injured white man. He reasoned that the man was destined to die. Firstly, he had been wounded by a gunshot, and secondly, the rocks of the sea wounded him further. If Sadao healed the wounds given by the gun and the sea, then the gun and the sea would treat them as enemies and seek revenge. The gun represents the Japanese army and the sea represents the country of Japan. If they treated the enemy, they would be punished by Japan. Hannah politely said to the gardener that she would pass his message to Sadao. She was frightened, though not superstitious like the old man. She thought that helping an enemy could never be good for them. Still, she asked Yummy to get hot water into the room where the injured man was kept. Hannah went inside first and moved the partition to one side. Sadao was there. Yummy followed her and kept the wooden bucket on the floor. As she saw the white man, her thick lips folded and the expression on her face indicated her determination. She said firmly that she had never washed an American man and that she would never wash one who was so dirty as the injured man. Hannah reacted to Yummy's refusal. She screamed at her that she was supposed to follow her master's order. Yummy resisted strongly. Her dull face had a dangerous look of protest which scared Hannah. She was worried that if the servants reported something different from what had happened, they could land into trouble. Hannah changed her expression to respect and said, "Very well." She explained to Yummy that they intended to bring the unconscious man into his senses and then they would hand him over as a prisoner. Yummy said that she was not concerned about their plans. She added that she was a poor person and it was none of her business to know about their plans. Hannah said to Yummy that then she should return to her work. Yummy left the room at once. Hannah was again left alone with the white man. She would have been afraid to remain there all alone, but her anger on Yummy's firm determination made her to stay in the room. Hannah said with anger that Yummy was a stupid person. She said that it was just an injured man. Hannah was so full of anger at the refusal by the maid Yummy that without thinking she opened the blanket in which the man was injured. His chest was bare. Hannah took a small clean towel, dipped it in the steam hot water, and washed his face. The man's skin was rough due to being exposed to the sun. But it had a good texture, and he must have been very fair as a child. Hannah kept on cleaning the man's upper body as she had these thoughts. She did not like the man as he was not a child anymore. She did not have the courage to turn him over and thought of Sadao. Her anger was decreasing and she started becoming restless. She stood up and wiped her hands with the wrong towel, as she did not want the man to freeze due to the cold weather. She put the quilt on him. Hannah called out to Sadao softly. He had been on the door when she called him. He opened the door. Hannah saw that Sadao was carrying his surgeon's emergency bag and was wearing his surgeon's coat. He was prepared to operate upon the injured man. Hannah asked Sadao that had he decided to operate the man. Sadao replied that he had decided to operate him. He turned his back to Hannah as he did not want her to object to his decision. Sadao started his work. He opened a sterilized towel on the floor of the tokonoma alcove and placed his surgical instrument on it. Sadao asked Hannah to get some towel. Hannah obeyed Sadao and went out to get the towels. She was curious as Sadao was operating upon the injured man. She thought that the blood from his wounds could stain the fine mats which covered the floor of the room. So she got some rough mats from the backyard which were used by the gardener to cover the delicate shrubs from the cold weather. By the time Hannah reached the room, she saw that blood had flowed through the bandage of the man's wound and had stained the mat beneath him. Her efforts was futile. On seeing the stained mat, Hannah cried that the mat had been spoiled. Sadao agreed that the mat had been ruined in such a manner which indicated that he was not bothered by it. Sadao ordered Hannah to help him turn the man over. She obeyed him and then Sadao started washing his back. Hannah told Sadao that Yami had refused to wash the injured man. Sadao asked her that did she wash him? He did not stop cleaning him. He made fast, small movements of his hands as he cleaned him carefully. Sadao was engrossed in work and did not seem to hear Hannah. Hannah wondered that Sadao was not bothered who the injured man was. He was only concerned in performing his work well. Sadao told Hannah that she would have to inject the injured man with a substance that induces insensitivity to pain. Hannah replied that she had never done that earlier. Sadao said in a haste that it was very easy. Sadao was removing the packing and now the blood started flowing faster. He looked at the wound with the help of the bright surgeon's light fixed on his forehead. He announced that the bullet was inside the man's body. He wondered that how deep the wound made by the rock was. He said that if the wound was not very deep, then he could get the bullet out. He added that the bleeding was not from the surface of the skin, which meant that the wound was deep and the man had already lost a lot of blood. When Hannah saw Sadao inspecting the wound, she could not see the sight, and so she coughed. Sadao looked at her and saw that her face was yellowish in color like the color of sulfur. Sadao reacted and ordered Hannah not to faint. He did not stop his work and continued inspecting the wound. Sadao said that if he stopped, the injured man would certainly die. Hannah put both her hands on her mouth, jumped up, and ran out of the room. Sadao heard her vomiting in the garden, but he continued with his work. As Sadao needed Hannah's help to operate the man, he thought that it would be better for her to empty her stomach so that she would not feel uneasy time and again. He was reminded that Hannah was seeing an operation for the first time, and it was not a pleasant thing to see. Sadao was irritated and impatient as his wife was under stress and he was not able to help her due to the man who lay under his knife. He was just like a dead person. Sadao thought that there was no reason for him to make efforts to save the man because there was no reason for him to live. Sadao became merciless and started working fast. The injured man moaned in his state of unconsciousness, but Sadao kept on working without paying attention to the man's pain. Sadao said to the injured man that he was free to cry in pain. Sadao was not concerned that the man was in pain. He did not want to operate him and did not have any reason for doing so. Hannah entered the room and asked Sadao for the anesthetic which she had to administer to the injured man. Her voice was clear, which shows that now she was prepared to help him. Sadao moved his chin to guide her to the bottle of anesthetic. He added that it was good that she came as the man had started to gain consciousness and it was important to sedate him. Hannah held the bottle and some cotton in her hands. She asked what she was supposed to do. He told her to put some anesthetic on the cotton and to place the cotton near the man's nostril. He did not stop his delicate work and added that she should remove the cotton when the man started to breathe badly. Hannah sat in a squat and went close to the face of the sleeping American man. She felt sad and sympathetic towards him as she saw his thin face and twisted lips. She knew that he was suffering. She wondered whether the stories that she had heard about the torture meted out to the prisoners were true. The stories were like rumors which spread when people told them to others. On the other hand, in the printed media, like the newspapers, it was mentioned that the Japanese army was welcomed wherever it went, and people praised it for their freedom. Hana recalled an officer of the Japan army, General Takima, who was cruel to his wife and would beat her. No one talked about it anymore as he had won the war in Manchuria. Hana thought that if a man could be cruel towards his wife, then he could also be cruel to the prisoners in his captivity. Hana hoped that the man had not been tortured by the army. Just then she saw deep red colored marks on his neck under the ear. Hana mentioned the scars to Sadao and asked about them. Sadao did not answer. At that moment, the tip of his instrument hit something hard. That was the bullet. It was very close to the kidney. Sadao was not thinking of anything else. He was happy to have finally found the bullet. He moved his fingers inside the wound. Sadao was familiar with the tiniest part of the human body. His professor of anatomy in America had told them that if a surgeon ignored the knowledge of any part of the body, it was the first misdeed that he had committed. To operate upon a body without detailed knowledge of it, as much as the person who makes it has wounded, would amount to committing murder of that body. एक डॉक्टर को अगर पूरी जानकारी नहीं है और वो उसको ऑपरेट करता है, वो उतना ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल है जितना कि उस आदमी को वो चोट पहुंचाने वाला पर्सन. Sadao's professor would repeat these words in his class often. Sadao spoke to the injured man. He said that the bullet had just missed the kidney. When Sadao would get engrossed in the operation, he would start talking to the patient. He addressed that patient as my friend. He called the injured man also my friend. He forgot that this man was not a friend but an enemy. Sadao was quick. He made a few surgical cuts on the body and removed the bullet. The man trembled in pain but remained unconscious. He spoke a few words in English which were an expression of the pain that he was experiencing. The injured man choked and said, "Guts, they got my guts." He meant that he was brave and courageous, and the Japanese army would have a tough time while punishing him. Upon hearing him, Hana cried out to Sadao. Sadao hushed her to keep quiet. The man became so quiet that Sadao held his wrist to check his heartbeat. He was checking if the man was still alive. His pulse was there, although it was very weak. Sadao thought that it was enough for a person who had a desire to live. There was still hope that the man would survive. Sadao was sure that he did not want the man to live. Sadao stopped Hana from administering anesthetic. He turned quickly and chose a small bottle from the medicine. He filled a syringe with the medicine and pushed the vaccine into the man's left arm. Sadao placed the needle down and held the man's wrist. The pulse shivered once or twice and then improved. Sadao took a deep breath as he told Hana that the injured man would live.